A wop bop doo wop wop bamboo. We go together like shamalam nam nam ding doop doop. Sorry, I was watching.
I hate Grease.
What?
Yeah.
Such
worse.
a great movie.
Not wrong.
You better call Olivia Newton-John because this is about to get physical. This is the Maxx Super Awesome Comic Review Show.
Comic Review Show.
Comic Review Show. Bam! How you doing today, America? This is the Maxx, and it is time for the Maxx Super Awesome Comic Review Show. Why? Because it's Wednesday morning, and this is what we do, because comic books are amazing. So, we're going to get right in, because we got a nice... Oh, man, we got a double whammy for you. 1-2 punch at the #1 spot on the Maxx's top 5 picks. But first, we have honorable mentions, runners-ups, and notables, which I always want to call noodles.
Noodles!
All right, this one is a notable. It is Batman Eternal #3. There were so many. I'm gonna be honest with you, as I always am. There were so many books that I had to read. Why do you laugh when I say that? Oh, there were a lot of books to read. I didn't get a chance to read Batman Eternal 3. However, I did skim through it very quickly, and I know that it's a weekly series. I know that there's going to be 52 issues before the series is over. However, I don't know how they're going to pack any more action into this series, because every other page it was like, what, that villain, Batman, what? I even saw the Penguin in there. It's crazy.
Because he's the scariest.
The ultimate villain, the Penguin. Although I did see the screenshots for the new Gotham TV show and who they cast for Penguin. Looks really cool.
Is it
really
Danny
creepy.
DeVito?
It is not Danny DeVito, but it totally should be Danny DeVito. I could be the Penguin. Moving on. This one is DC Comics' Secret Origins of the New 52. It's really cool because it's a really cool comic. It's kind of weird because I feel like we did a relaunch to not have all these issues about origins and continuity, and yet here we are with origins and continuity.
How secret can Superman's origin be?
Super secret.
Really?
But this issue also had
I don't believe
Robin and Supergirl, so it was cool.
Nobody really cares
and
about
the cover,
Robin.
well, it's got Liebermejo covers. It's amazing, and everybody cares about Robin. Anyway, it was really cool. The Superman story was actually awesome, and it wasn't like, oh man, I totally did not know that Superman came from Smallville. But there were a couple of moments in there that definitely explain
Krypton?
some of his character. Like when the New 52 first debuted, everyone was like, why is Superman so angry? Why is he threatening all these people? Like, this isn't the wholesome Boy Scout that I know. And at the time, everyone was like, well, it was just the way Grant Morrison was writing it. But this does kind of go back and explain, like, when he arrived at Metropolis, how he left Smallville, and maybe why there was so much angst.
His heart hurt.
Yeah, it was real heavy.
Teenage angst.
Teenage angst from, the man that can throw planets across the
Cry bullets?
Milky Way.
Does he cry bullets?
No, he eats them for breakfast. Can I have another book, please? Thank you.
Slugwick.
Oh, I am super excited for this one. It is The Flash, issue number 30. Why, you might ask, am I so excited for a Flash comic? Because it's Wally West's New 52 debut, and because they keep teasing me with it. Maybe there's a potential reboot in the future.
Could you run like that? What's your pace? What's your...
I'm clocked at about 3 to 4 miles an hour at a steady clip. This one, an honorable mention of all honorable mentions.
Shocking.
It didn't get into the lineup tonight because if I just gave it the #1 award every time, it wouldn't be any fun, and there's other books we got to talk about. But it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 33! The Turtles are back in New York City and badder than ever. Don't miss it. It's a great place to start reading the Turtles. Any place is a great place to start reading the Turtles. We all know my rants on Turtles.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all do.
All right.
Everybody.
And now for the top
Everyone
5
knows.
bit. Time for the top 5. At number 5.
At number 5!
We have a special book for you because I am not going to do the review of this book. The off-camera voice is going to do a review of this book because they loved it so much.
And she read it.
And she read it.
Pretty simple, really funny, hilarious book.
It's a new Evan Dorkin book, and its title is... See, when you do a review, you definitely got to give the title of the book.
The Eltingville Club.
The Eltingville Club.
Comic nerds. One gets a job at the local comic store who is run by a crazy bitter man. And...
This is all sounding vaguely familiar.
No, that's what I said. You just have to read it. It killed me. I would have peed myself reading it if I didn't have the intense bladder control that I do. That is my superpower. He gets on a power trip with his friends.
Oh, okay.
Things happen.
All right.
Too funny.
Read it because things happen. No, it does sound hilarious. And it's Evan Dorkin, who, what, three Eisner Awards? Come on. You can't go wrong with that guy. All right. Good job.
I know.
I'm happy for you
There was a little
camera
too
voice.
much talk about urination. Do I need to redo that?
No, we're good.
This book was awesome.
We have no standards, except for when it comes to our comics. This one, coming in at number 4, also art pick for the week, it is Elektra number 1. The artist, Del Mundo.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Blow your mind. Blow your mind amazing.
Not only is the art itself amazing, but it completely changes the rules of page layouts and panels. And there's one page in here particular where Elektra's ribbons, she's doing some ballet, and the ribbons are actually used as the borders on the panels. It is super genius stuff. Made the whole book feel like one big picture as opposed to just a bunch of little panels chopped up and spliced together. Really amazing stuff. Great story. Elektra, we find her and she's
extra hurt.
Yeah, she's extra hurt, extra kind of just like down on herself. So she decides what she needs to do is get out of New York City and just get back to being an assassin and killing people. That's what she is. So that was really cool. We also get to see what has become of Bullseye since their last encounter, and that was really cool to see. So, and next issue, Monster Island. Anytime you hear Monster Island, I'm on board. We all know this.
Yeah,
there was also a Godzilla.
Turtles and Monsters.
Well, there was a Godzilla book that came out this week, and I didn't even
predictable.
mention it until right now. So, Godzilla, Rulers of the Earth. It's out. Read it. I'm not predictable. I just like what I like. And who doesn't like monsters? I'm very, very excited for this book. It is Conan the Avenger number 1. Fred Van Lente and Brian Ching are taking over for Brian Wood's taken over after Brian Wood has left. Conan the Barbarian is over. It is now Conan the Avenger. We find Conan drunk in a city called Kush. And he is very heartbroken and lamenting the death of his lover. And he gets robbed, and he gets thrown into a trash pit, and then he gets accused of being a witch. All of which he responds...
Sounds like my last weekend.
Yeah. All of which he responds to in a very Conan fashion, which is, I have a sword, and now I'm going to cut your head off. Coming in at number 2, it is IDW's new series called Seventh Sword. It's a miniseries. It's really cool. It takes place on a human space colony called Helios. So it's a science fiction story. It's way in the future. There's been this huge war between Helios and the human empire, and Earth has left Helios to its own devices, and they're like, fine, peace. You want a little rebellion? We're out of here. But this samurai warrior gets left behind on the planet. His whole unit gets deserted there, so he takes a job as a security guard. Ends up at this sort of lost mythical city that's trying really, really hard to just hide out in the desert and be left alone by all these warring clans that have risen up in the vacuum that is left by Earth leaving Helios. But war finds them anyway. This vicious warlord is on his way to the city. They realize they have 10 days before he gets there, and their only hope for survival might be this wayward samurai. So it's a very Seven Samurai feel to it, only there's one dude. That's why it's called the Seventh Sword. I'm assuming they hinted to it a little bit that maybe the sword is very special and that there's only so many of them, and they'll get back to that later.
Maybe there's 7.
Maybe there's 15 and he's only got number 7.
Maybe like the Stradivarius?
Is that a guitar?
No, it's a violin.
That's violin. Right, because clearly you look at me and you say, that man must know all about violins. All right, I said we have a tiebreaker, a 1-2...
Can you handle this much awesome at once, or would you like them one at a time?
I don't think I can give an answer to that question. I'll take them one at a time, please. So coming in as the first round of number 1, we have Justice League United, issue number 0. It was really cool. We see Adam Strange, who isn't Adam Strange yet, but maybe is just lying to everybody about who he is, show up at a convention and meet Stargirl and Animal Man, and he's
Canadians are liars.
Canadians are not automatically liars. And that is somehow racist. I'm not sure what the word is when it applies to Canadians.
Nationalist?
Yes, there we go. Thank you. So, and he manages to convince Stargirl and Animal Man that his grad student assistant has been abducted by aliens, so they go and investigate it. The Martian Manhunter and Green Arrow show up, which By the way, if you would have told me a month ago that my favorite dialogue in comics this week would be between Animal Man and Green Arrow, I would have said, what book would that be in reference to? But in this book, hilarious, because they're two B-list characters trying to, like, you know, macho each other out. And they're like, well, you're the Green Arrow. Who wants you to show up? And they're like, well, yeah, Animal Man, why don't you just go find a beaver to mimic his powers?
Well, I've got news for Animal Man. He doesn't have a show on the CW.
Right? Green Arrow does.
B-list.
It's a cool show,
How do you get your own
So
show
Justice
if you're
League United,
B-list?
it was fantastic. It does reference a bit of the fallout from Forever Evil, which we will be waiting until the end of May to know the final truth on. Just give me the book. Coming in at the other part of number 1, we have a series from a big event for Marvel that I have been much anticipating. It is Original Sin, issue number 0, Who is the Watcher?
Pretty awesome.
Really awesome. So this issue, mostly you just have Nova and the Watcher, and you discover who the Watcher is through Nova's eyes. It also gives a little bit of an origin story for Nova for people that haven't been reading that series.
It gives an origin story for the Watcher.
Yeah, but through Nova's eyes, like through what he discovers about the Watcher as you go. So you get to see how the Watcher became the Watcher, which my favorite part of this book, whenever I see the Watcher, you always think of him as being this, you know, ancient, all-knowing, observing alien figure. But in this book, Mark Waid does a wonderful job of bringing him down to the level of Nova, where by the end of the book, you really just have two kids trying to figure out who their fathers were and what their fathers represented in the universe and what they stood for, in a way that I've never seen anybody.
It was sweet.
Yeah,
I thought it was. It was like
I
a
never thought I'd have an
heartwarming
emotional
thing.
attachment to the Watcher.
Yeah,
but knowing that he dies in the next issue is really cool, and now I really care about
Do you know
him.
that he dies?
Well, I mean, the whole thing is who
It is
killed
called
the Watcher.
Who Shot the Watcher?
Well, yeah. So, no, it's Who Killed the Watcher. Little flashcards over there.
Let's see.
They say, Who Murdered the Watcher? And then he's got his body all like, whoa.
Who Shot the Watcher? On sale May 7th.
Every once in a while, I'm wrong.
Who Shot the Watcher?
Doesn't happen often.
All
Drink
the time.
It up. Drink it up while you can.
I will.
All right. Sheesh.
Like sweet Canadian syrup.
You in Canada, you don't even like maple syrup.
No.
You don't put it on your grits.
That's because that's a disgusting thing.
Grits or maple syrup?
Grits are delicious.
Grits
but
are delicious. And the catfish is looking at me like we probably should move back to the comics now. So, stay away. We will be back from the cutaway with a couple of quick graphic novels.
Cutaway time for a cutaway. It's an inferno in here. Disco inferno.
Welcome back from the cutaway. I really only have one graphic novel for you this week, and it actually came out last week. But due to some shipping incidences, we got it in this week. Well, early this week. So I am here to talk to you about the new Daytripper Deluxe hardcover graphic novel. If you are not familiar with Daytripper, it's by Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba, twin brothers. Amazing book that really examines what are the defining moments of your life, what are the moments that shape you, what are the moments that drive you to the person that you will ultimately become, and it uses the small moments in life to examine the big questions. I took that from the back of the book. It's a beautiful book, one of the most heart-wrenching, heartwarming, heart-touching books that I've ever read in my life, and the artwork for it is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. If you asked anybody at Astro Zombies what their stance on Daytripper is, they're going to tell you A+ book across the board. Really excited to have it available on hardcover again because it makes a wonderful gift and it looks amazing on a bookshelf. So definitely check it out. And stay tuned for Words of the Show, which I'm going to go do back over in my usual spot. Oh! Alright! Well, it was a short and sweet week for us here at the Maxx Super Awesome Comic Review Show because we wanted to give you guys more time to get down to your comic book stores and check out some amazing books that came out this week. There was also new story arcs in Red Lanterns. Part 3 of Superman Batman First Contact came out this week. There was new Uncanny Avengers this week. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And I really wish that we could review all of them. But alas, so many comics, so very little time. So I'm going to use this moment for Words of the Show to talk about a comment that was left on our YouTube page. I guess somebody's been paying attention and noticed that we've yet to talk about Batman. Which, if we were ever going to talk about the monthly series Batman, last week probably would have been the week to do it because Greg Capullo was an amazing artist, and I'm very much enjoying it. But the question was, why have we not reviewed Batman?
Why
for the show?
don't you like Batman?
I love Batman.
That was the question.
That was the question. Why was the question straight up? Why I don't like Batman?
Yeah,
Oh.
your audience thinks you don't like the Batman titles.
I do like Batman. In fact, Batman is one of my favorite characters, and the Grant Morrison run on Batman is perhaps the greatest run ever on a superhero. However, I get a little burnt out on origin stories, especially ones that try and change the fundamentals of characters a little too much. And I think that it's great that Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are doing it for a brand new Batman audience with the New 52, you know, get people re-energized and maybe introduce them to Batman for the first time, so it's fine if the Riddler doesn't tell any riddles or if the Joker's not funny and doesn't kill anybody. But for me, after reading the Grant Morrison Batman run and Batman Incorporated and all of this stuff, to go back to like Batman's origins and rediscover those just really didn't interest me that much. But believe me, the minute that 0 Year is over, we are going to be talking about some Batman. So, there's that one for you.
I'm Shiva the Destroyer. That's.
You are. Well, you're definitely the destroyer to my good times. So.
Oh.
Just kidding. I love you off voice camera.
That's.
Oops. Said it backwards again.
I thought that was just my name.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay with it. In other words, the show, really excited about Free Comic Book Day. That's
Yes.
exciting.
I was going to get to that. Next week, I will have for you, because this week was really short, next week we'll have something extra awesome for you. We're going to do a review of all the Free Comic Book Day books before they hit the shelves on Saturday. So you will know when you get down to your comic book stores which books you want and which ones you're like, not so much on that one. All right, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Maxx Super Awesome Comic Review Show. You have all been wonderful. Thank you for bearing with us as we move into the summer months. Like I said, we have exciting stuff coming up for you in May, so stay tuned for that. We're going to kick April out of here with a bang.
Next week?
Next week, yeah. Next week is the end of April.
We'll kick April
Next
out.
week is Amazing Spider-Man #1, so I'm super excited to review that. I want to give a special thanks to the catfish behind the camera for bearing with us in the heat. The swamp cooler is not quite hooked up yet.
Because his job's so hard.
It is really difficult. He's got to sit there and look at all this all day and somehow not want to gouge his eyes out. And yeah, I suppose you can also have a thank you for whatever it is.
I don't want to thank you. I just
Well.
don't want Catfish to get one.
Catfish can have one. I'm not really sure what your function is, so. But good job. I mean, I dressed myself, so wardrobe really didn't have much to do today. Put my t-shirt on like a big boy. Until next time,
I am so upset right now.
stay frosty.
You get nothing. Go.
Hi, Godzilla. Ah, I know it's Kojima!